Well, hello, citizens of the Writer's Corner podcast. This is episode 35, and this is your host, author Anthony Avina. As you can tell by the title of this podcast, we are going to be delving further into some writing tips with how to choose a title for your book. I'm going to take you through the four main points that I think about when I'm choosing a title for my books, and I will give you some examples from my own books and of course, this is totally my opinion, and if you guys have your own process of choosing a title for your book, leave them in the review section down below, and I'll be happy to check them out, and maybe I'll give you a shout out in the next podcast. First of all, we have three items today because there's no review this week for a book. I'm going to have a couple of books finished this week that I will be able to use in future podcasts, but for now, we have three things. We have pop culture news. Then we have a update on Lexington and Fifth for week 6, and then I'll get into the main topic of today, which is how to choose a title for your book. First, let's go to the pop culture news. The Super Bowl was this weekend, and while a lot of people were focused on the game itself, of course here at ONREQUEST magazine, the Writer's Corner podcast, Savina Vlogs, whatever you're watching this on, we were more focused on the trailers and the ads. There were some great trailers that came out. One of the highlights for us was 10 Cloverfield Lane, the very mysterious and secretive sequel that was recently unleashed upon the world and is set to release nationwide and worldwide in March. The trailer alluded a little bit more to the circumstances that character Mary Elizabeth Winstead finds herself in with John Goodman, and we get a little bit of a hint at how it connects to the original Cloverfield film. We also got glimpses of Psylocke in X-Men Apocalypse. We got fun little ads for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice in the form of Turkish Airlines, which featured both Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne. We got a very interesting look at Captain America: Civil War, which showed both sides of the war lined up against one another. And we got a fun surprise Coca-Cola ad featuring Ant-Man and the Hulk. Very popular ads this year, and really kind of stole the show from the actual game. So that's our first headline. Second news. There's a lot of rumors concerning films being turned into television series and their stars returning. The first being Ethan Hawke, who is rumored to be approached by the network for the upcoming television adaptation of Training Day, the hit film series starring Ethan Hawke and Denzel Washington. On top of that, Sarah Michelle Gellar has recently been rumored to have been approached by showrunners for the upcoming Cruel Intentions TV series, which takes place years after the original film and would see Sarah Michelle Gellar return to her role. Interesting rumors going around, especially concerning these two A-list actors returning to properties being turned into television series after years and years after the film came out. Next, USA has renewed hit sci-fi series Colony for a second season. The show stars Josh Holloway and Sarah Wayne Callis as a couple living in a new world order after an alien invasion has decimated the nation and the world governments. And it's kind of an espionage undercover thriller mixed in with some good old-fashioned sci-fi. And very happy to see it's going to be getting a second season. And finally, for you anime fans who are looking forward to this adaptation, Michael Pitt has boarded Ghost in the Shell as the villain, the Laughing Man, to star opposite Scarlett Johansson. Very fun, exciting news, and if you're an anime fan, let me know down below in the comment section or in the review section what you think of Michael Pitt in this role. Next, we have the Lexington and Fifth Week 6 update. Week 6 is called Consequences, and the song of the week is called Tear You Apart by She Wants Revenge, and this is the week that the horror really begins. This next chapter is going to take place in the modern time It's going to take place 8 years after the prelude chapters, chapters 1 through 5. And we're going to pick up the story first with Kate and see where her life has gone after the horrific events of the first 5 chapters and what kind of life she's living. And we're going to get to see her be the first character to have an interaction with the story's monstrous creature that is going to be haunting the rest of the cast and characters for the rest of the year. This begins the true mystery of the book, the true spine-chilling horror of the story. This is where it all begins. Things are about to get gruesome. Things are about to get, hide under the covers scary is how I would put it. So that's why Tear You Apart is this one, because that song is really creepy and fun and definitely fits in with the theme of this chapter. Consequences. It's coming for you. Tune in this Friday. Only on Wattpad, I should mention, by the way. Go on Wattpad. The story's called Lexington and 5th. Finally, let's get to our main, topic of discussion this week. How to choose a title for your book. I've written down 4 main things I look at when I'm trying to decide the title of a book. The first, let's go right into it. The first being important dialogue. When you're writing a book, if there's an important piece of dialogue going on, you want to pay attention to it. It could really be your title. I'll give you an example. Nightmare Wars. I did not come up with it by itself before I started writing it. I don't even remember what the tentative title was called at this point, but there's a key piece of dialogue where they were pretty much saying that it's the final war, the Nightmare War, and pretty much all the nightmares of mythology and legend have come to life, and nightmares are real. So the Nightmare War kind of piece of dialogue came and took over as the title of that series. Next, I look at is main character. Main character can often be used to describe a book and title a book. For example, Dean Koontz' Odd Thomas. There's been the whole series has the word odd in it because that's the name of the main character, Odd Thomas. For another example, for my own writing, whatchamacallit, the main character, it kind of influenced the title of I Was a Teenage Killer, and this leads into third option, keyword or phrase. The main character in I Was a Teenage Killer was Lisa Etron. She was a teenager, an all-American sweetheart looking girl, very pretty, very popular, but she hid a dark agenda. She was disturbed. She was evil to the core, enjoyed hurting and killing people, and she was a teenage killer. And that was the keyword or phrase that stuck out of the book that described this main character. So options 2 and 3, main character, keyword or phrase, kind of blend together for that choice because our character Lisa Etron was a teenage killer, and that spawned the first title of the book. And from there, her character traits in the second and third book kind of helped write the titles of the next 2 books. I Was a Teenage Zombie, and I Was a Teenage Demon. Finally, setting can have a big place in the title of your book. If you want to be kind of mysterious and not give away too much about your book, there's nothing wrong with the setting of your book being the title. If you wrote a book about a fictional town called, let's say, Acura, make the name of your book Acura. And that's just an example. Don't say Acura, but that's just an example I'm giving you. There's Palo Verde, Los Altos. Just any city that, if your setting in the story plays an integral part in the plot of your story, use the setting. You never know when you're sitting there searching for an important phrase or topic. it doesn't seem right. Maybe the setting has a better ring for a name. Also, going back to the keyword or phrase, if you're writing an espionage thriller perhaps, and there's a special project called Project Almanac. Make the title of your book Almanac, but spell it out with a period after each letter so that it adds to the mystery. Ooh, this must be a project of some kind. What's this story about? Kind of draws your reader in. So, those are the things I look at when I'm choosing the title of a book. Do you have your own suggestions? Do you have your own method for choosing a title for your book? Leave your comments down below in the comment section or in the review section of this podcast on iTunes or SoundCloud. That does it for this very short episode of the Writer's Corner podcast. This was episode 35, How to Choose a Title for Your Book. In the comments below, tell us how you choose a title for your book if you're a writer. And if you're not a writer and you're just a reader, tell us what your favorite title of a book has been and why. I love the Dark Tower series. Very delves on an important piece of dialogue and on a keyword or phrase and a setting. It uses 3 of the 4 topics I use because the Dark Tower is the most central point of that series. It's the focal point of the entire plot of Stephen King's The Dark Tower series. So that's my favorite title. What's yours? Leave your comments down below in the comment section or in the review section of the podcast on SoundCloud or iTunes. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, guys. Make sure you leave your comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, please give this video a big thumbs up. Like this video, comment on it, favorite it, and share it. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. Every subscription counts. Your support means the world to us here. And hope you'll stick around and watch us or listen to us in this podcast grow. And, of course, hit the eye in the sky for today's recommended videos and playlists. If you're listening to this on iTunes or SoundCloud, please subscribe to the podcast on both sites, iTunes and SoundCloud. And also leave your reviews, because your reviews and your ratings really help us grow as a podcast. If you guys have any thoughts or opinions on any of those sites, leave them down in the comment section or the review section so that we can help improve the overall status of this podcast. We always are looking to grow, and your opinions and your thoughts on everything help us in that regard. So be sure you do that, alright? And check out all our social media links down below in the description box on all of these sites. And tune in next week for what is sure to be an exciting topic. We're going to talk about the top 5 YouTubers that have had an influence on writers, in my opinion. And I hope they'll help you guys out too, for you fellow writers who are looking for a little bit of inspiration from YouTube. That's it here for us on ONREQUEST, or on the Writer's Corner podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week for a brand new episode 36. Long days and pleasant nights, my friends.